we are back with another Disney Channel original movie review. This time we're going to be reviewing Now You See It, because that was the other one on our list that we both put last week, so we thought we'd just move on to that one. Definitely let us know in the comments which one you want us to do next, though. But yeah, this week we are reviewing Now You See It. Time. So there's this girl, you know Aly and AJ, but it's like Aly without the and AJ, and her character's name just so happens to be Allyson too, which is fun.
I wonder why.
So she's telling the story about a guy named Danny, and Danny's like this intense brooding type boy with this style that all them e-boys nowadays are trying to copy. Well, there's this new reality TV show, and for some reason it's being run by teenagers, and Allyson's one of the producers. So she and her cameraman and a mentor go to audition a bunch of kids to see who will be the next great kid magician or whatever, and it turns out all of them stink. Actually, including Danny, until they go back to their van and suddenly the doves he was trying to make appear in their van. So he ends up becoming one of the 3 finalists. Well, Danny competes against these other 2 magicians, but the real reason he entered into the competition is because he wanted to learn more about his magical powers, his real magical powers, and he can't really control them, and...
Yeah, he really can't control them, and I really don't get why he wanted to join a magic competition when he can't even use his magic, and he uses real magic, not show magic. I felt like there was a logic misstep there.
Yeah. So yeah, in the competition, Danny keeps doing crazy things that can't be completely explained as like a magician's trick. So eventually he admits to everyone that he has real magic. But Max, the famous magician person who's like putting on the whole thing, convinces everyone otherwise and like figures out ways to make it seem like he was just doing magic tricks the whole time. Because it turns out that Max is also really magic too. He ends up giving Danny this ring that'll supposedly help him control his magic powers, but actually what it does is drain them and give them to Max. So during Danny's last performance, Max tries using that to drop a 1,000-pound weight on his head, but he dodges it, and then Allyson takes the ring off him so he can have this weird magic fight thing against Max on stage that somehow passes as a magician's show. And then Danny wins by putting the ring on Max, and then Danny goes into hiding, and that's really the end. So, what did you think were the best parts?
Best parts? Well, okay, I really liked that there was, like, problem-solving stuff going on. Like, Allyson showed that she was pretty smart. And then she was sneaking around and recorded what was happening, and it was smart of her to record that.
Yeah.
The conversation between Danny and Max, and then between Max and Paul. And then just, like, looking at the old video of the doves, and realizing that that meant real magic, because the video couldn't have been edited.
And they, like, it shows that they appeared out of nowhere. Like, it wasn't like someone put them in.
I mean, just stuff like that. Like, they were actually investigating what was going on and actually coming to reasonable conclusions.
That is true. Anything else for best parts?
Well, the, not very good magic tricks at the beginning were quite funny.
Yes, I agree. I put that as one of... It was really cheesy and totally, like, a Disney Channel type thing, but it was really funny. It was pretty good. I agree with that one. I really like the scene where they kind of going along with them figuring out stuff. I like the scene where they're finding the secret library and like they do like a puzzle in the main library to kind of figure out a symbol. And I don't know why they would have known exactly where to go, but I mean it could have just like not shown them like look.
Yeah, that was one where it was a little bit of it was cool, but I'm not sure what logic they followed there. And I mean there was like a symbol on the map and the map's this other symbol, but it still would have been a good idea to try following that symbol in the first place.
But I think like the secret library is kind of just like a cool spot thing. I also, by the end, was kind of impressed with the whole plan, like Max's plan. Like not super duper duper impressed, but like at the beginning I was trying to poke holes in it and be like, why is he putting all of this, what's the word? Leaving so much of the responsibility to these, like, random kids and stuff to find the magician. But, like, Paul was a mentor of those 2 the whole time, so I bet, like, the other mentors were also people kind of working with him or something.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wondered at his plan, because, so I got the impression that this was the first time this had been done. So it's weird that he happened to find a real one the first time it was done, if there's only supposed to be 1 or 2 each generation. And I don't know if that's supposed to mean, like, 1 or 2 each generation in the US, and if, like, higher population numbers might mean that maybe there's more or something, because we don't really know how it works, and we don't know anything about how this is working in other parts of the world. And there were like only 100, and not everyone who had magic powers would be interested in stage magic, so I don't know. There were a few things that I was like, it's impressive. So the thing is, I was wondering if maybe he knew that the magician was about the age for it to happen. Like, if he had used some kind of magic to know that.
Probably. I was mainly impressed with how he, like, pulls all of the strings once they're there and, like, discredits Danny.
Yeah, that stuff was pretty good.
Like, that was pretty good. One thing, too, that about his plan that I wasn't was the fact that the way to get into the competition was to solve a puzzle, and, like, how does solving a puzzle equate to a good magician or magic person?
The thing is that there wasn't really any connection there. It was like, maybe he'd want them solving the puzzle so that if he did find a real magic person, they would be able to find the secret library thing or something, because they were similar. But the solving the puzzle doesn't really connect to the actual being in the magic show, for one. And it also, I didn't necessarily get the impression that the magicians who came in would have solved it.
Yeah.
Like, would Danny have actually figured that out, or did his actual magic powers get him to the website without him figuring it out?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, to be honest, that could be it, but obviously it wasn't stated. For him, but, like, for the other ones.
Maybe that was part of the point of the puzzle, is that an actual magic person would be able to get to the website without actually having to solve it.
And the last thing about best moments was the joke about Trump's hair.
Look, it's possible, okay? I mean, there's a lot of bizarre things we can't explain. Like ESP, mind readers.
And Donald Trump's hair.
I laughed.
That was funny. That was funny in retrospect, just because who would have thought he'd be as relevant now as he is now then?
I know. That was probably the only part during the whole movie, because, I mean, this is a more serious movie, there's a few funny parts, but that was, like, the only part where I, like, laughed super hard for real. Okay, worst parts, what did you think?
Okay, plot thing. So when Allyson had the video evidence, told Danny that she had the video evidence, and then it cut to them bringing the video evidence to other people without her having shown it to Danny first, I'm like, what the heck? Are you trying to prove it to Danny first? Why?
Oh my gosh, there was a few, like, plot things that kind of bothered me, where, like, just the motivation is wrong, or, like, the logic is off or something, and that's the one that bothered me the most.
Yeah, for sure. That was, like, the biggest, like, why?
Like, at that point, she's just trying to prove to Danny that Max said what he said, and then
it's suddenly, out of nowhere, trying to show it to someone else. Why?
There were also a few other places where it wasn't quite as bad as that one, but I felt like the logic was kind of off as well in the plot. For instance, Allyson hears Max actually tell Paul that by the next day, the ring is gonna make it so all of Danny's powers are Max's, and it, like, she doesn't respond to it at all. Like, it's like she's still trying to figure out that part after that. Did you notice that?
Like, when she was trying to say what she had overheard to Danny, she was, like, not saying the most important part?
Yeah, so it's like she either just didn't hear that, or I don't even know. So that was weird. With that same conversation that they're having when she's, like, talking to him, and she's trying to, like, get him to take the ring off to, like, prove that there's something up with the ring, and then her reasoning after that is, take off the ring to see how you'll feel, and it's like, no, you're just trying to prove that he can't take it off himself, right? So, like, that was another logic thing that was just...
Yeah, I was like, at least try to take it off to see if it's possible for you to take it off. I mean, can't you just test that?
Yeah. Instead, he doesn't test it until he's on stage and everything's going to heck. And then the fact that, like, his whole performance is, like, way different than the other two, and, like, the audience isn't thrown off by that at all. It's
yeah,
weird.
That's the thing. It's like, the person in charge was with him on stage. This is a weird competition.
It's like there's, like, some weird favoritism, but then he's fighting with the main dude. And like, what's going on here? And then the audience thinks it's, like, some great show.
Was, like, having reactions that the audience to the movie is supposed to be having, more than reactions that you'd think they would actually be having.
Exactly. Like, and the fact, like, when Allyson's in the box, like, they weren't shown that anyone's even in the box. Like, the first thing would, like, you would assume it's empty, not that a person's in it. And they're like, oh no!
Until there's the scream with the third sword.
But, like, with the first two, like, the audience was, like, legitimately worried, and it's like, there's no reason to believe someone's even in there. I think that's all of my logical complaints with the plot, though. Did you have any more?
So the test for magic was super weird. Okay, so I don't know if it was, like, based on this, but there used to be this $1 million challenge to, like, prove psychic abilities. Anyone who thought they had psychic abilities could submit themselves to a test that would be, like, scientifically thought out, and everyone involved would come to an agreement of what would be considered a pass for the test, and they'd go through this test, and a lot of people tried it, and none of them passed. It ended a few years ago, which the idea of that was to test those kinds of things rigorously. rigorously. And it seemed like they were trying to set up something similar, but not rigorous enough to actually make sense to be some kind of pass or fail, you know? And it was like a committee of experts instead of like an actual test. There would be a lot of work to designing what constitutes the magic that you're trying to prove and stuff like that. What was shown in this movie was not any kind of rigorous test. It was a bunch of old people talking about what they thought.
Yeah. It was also interesting that they called it a panel of skeptics, and one of them was like this psychic lady who obviously like thought that he was magic.
Were her psychic abilities ever tested at all? I mean, the thing is, in this world, apparently there is actual magic. There's not enough in the movie to make it so that the audience is questioning whether there's real magic or whether it was all tricks, because it's just not framed that way. So we're supposed to assume that there's real magic, which I think it would have been cool if, there was some of that ambiguity there, but there really wasn't. But then that kind of begs the question of why there's not more.
The special effects were not good.
Oh yeah, so the knights were so janky.
Were so bad. They were like jerky and glitchy.
Yeah, I know.
Like all of the other ones, it's like, okay, that's like early 2000s special effects with a low budget. But like those ones were just like so bad.
And then like when he put the ring on Max's finger, it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, those were like the two worst special effects scenes for sure.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And it was funny because sometimes with, like, the magician, like, the actual magicians, I couldn't tell if it was special effects or actual magic tricks. Like, sometimes I think it was, like, special effects, that it's, like, movie magic that's not, like, a real magic trick. And sometimes, like, with the one girl, you could see the stick holding the basketball. And so it was, like, kind of weird that they use real special effects for, like, the real magicians. But also, the actors probably don't actually know how to do magic tricks that way. As per the fact that I saw the stick behind the girl on the basketball.
Oh, and remember with the light bulb, how the guy had the hoop?
Mm-hmm.
And then he, like, put it up next to the light bulb and pulled it back? It's like, what are you proving there? You're proving there's no string underneath it, but I haven't seen you prove there's no string above it. Like, at all. Wouldn't that be a good thing to show?
Yes. And then the last thing, I wasn't a huge fan of, like, the frame they have for the whole movie, how it's, like, the way it's narrated by Allyson. It's really weird and kind of awkward, and then especially, like, the end scene is out of place. Like, the tone is just, like, way different than the whole movie.
Okay, so maybe I do know where he is. How did we get here?
Magic.
I still don't know how you do that.
A good magician never reveals the secrets of his tricks.
Show off.
So, I don't know. Like, I think part of the tone was what Danny's mindset was, to an extent. And so, like, it was, like, super brooding. And then there was a clear difference when he put on the ring, and that, like, affected him emotionally.
I guess that's
And then it's like, now he's more sure of himself, so that changes the tone, too, or something. But it was out of place. It was, like, just that scene.
But, like, just the narration in general, I wasn't a huge fan of, too, either.
Yeah, same. It's like, I wish they'd done it without the narration.
Agreed. I think that's all of my worst parts. Do you have any more for worst parts?
I don't think so.
Okay, so, is this movie better or worse than you remember?
Honestly, I think it's basically the same as I remembered. I remembered liking it, and liking it more because it was, magic and my type of movie.
That's how I remember it, but honestly, I feel like the movie is worse than I remember, because it was just, like, a lot weirder than I remember, and cringy, and the logical complaints I have and stuff, and so I say this one's worse than I remember. Next question, would you watch this again, outside of specifically watching Disney Channel original movies?
Yeah, honestly, I'd say I would, just, maybe once in a while. There's lots of other movies it would be up against, but it's not the kind of thing that I'd only watch just because I wanted to do a Disney Channel marathon. Although there would be a certain amount of, I remember liking this movie because it was nostalgic more than it's super good, but,
I think on this one I'd say no again, because it just wasn't, it didn't live up to how I remember it, to be honest. Okay, score, rating, scale from 1 to 10, where would you put it?
I would give it a 7, I guess.
A 7? Wow! We're like flip-flopped. Like this one, Stuck in the Suburbs versus this one. I gave this one 4.6. What's the average? 7 and 4.6. 5.8. 5.8 is where this one will go. That's 0.05 ahead of the last one, right? The other one was 5.75?
I guess.
Wow. Well, this one slightly goes ahead of that one, I guess. Well, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know down in the comments which Disney Channel original movie you want us to rate next. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, which you can do by clicking there. Check out more videos. Our last Stuck in the Suburbs review is up top, and then the playlist of all our DCOM reviews is underneath that. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!